ChatGPT has become a go-to information source, replacing even established search engines like Google. Understanding how the AI responds can provide valuable insights for research and brand reputation management. I'm Dovydas from Oxylabs, and I'll show you how to scrape ChatGPT with our Web Scraper API. ChatGPT has been used for many things, including getting recommendations, generating ideas, and providing assistance with writing or coding. However, the answers provided by the chatbot are different every time, based on various factors, like your location or even the time you ask. Imagine you're a business owner developing a brand. You might be interested in seeing what ChatGPT can tell about your product in different parts of the world. Or if you're a data analyst looking into search trends, knowing what ChatGPT is talking about can bring beneficial insights. This is why scraping ChatGPT matters. It provides a clear and effortless view into how opinions are shaped around the world. So let's explore how to use Oxylabs Web Scraper API to scrape ChatGPT with Python. Begin by creating a virtual environment for your Python script. We'll also need to install the requests library, which we'll use to access the API and store the data. Run these lines to do just that. Once that's done, open up your preferred code editor and create a file named main.py. Open it up and add these lines to import the previously installed libraries. We can start by defining a function that will be responsible for sending our requests to Web Scraper API to scrape ChatGPT. It should accept a geolocation parameter that we can use later on. Next, let's define the payload of the API request. The payload should be a dictionary that includes the source, prompt, a parse parameter, and the geolocation. For this example, we'll be looking at what ChatGPT replies when asked about the most popular travel destinations in 2025. We'll also ask the LLM to respond with just the list, so it's easier for us to read. Make sure to set the parse parameter to true so that the API knows to return the content parsed into JSON format. The geolocation will be passed on through the function argument once we need to execute the API call. Before sending the request, we should also define the credentials with which we'll be authenticating to the API. You can find them in your Oxylabs dashboard. With your credentials retrieved, let's write a POST request to the Web Scraper API with the previously defined payload. Once that's done, we're ready to send our request to the API. We can do that by invoking the getResponse function with a geolocation parameter. Let's use France this time. Once the response comes back, we can print it out to see what it looks like. Upon returning, the API provides the ChatGPT response in multiple formats, including Markdown and plain text. Along with that, it also returns other valuable data, like citations or the LLM model used. Let's extract the actual response of ChatGPT, the model that was used, and the initial prompt. We'll also include the geolocation that was passed to the function. We'll return this newly created object from the getResponse function, so that we can reuse the request with different geolocations and compare the responses later on. Now that we've seen what data we can get from the Web Scraper API, let's try adding another API request, but this time with Spain as the geolocation. After receiving the response, we can assign it to a separate variable. If we print it out, we can now see the extracted information from the response, with only the fields we defined. It's visible to the naked eye that the responses are different, but let's store both variables in a single CSV file so that it can be used for further analysis later on. We can utilize the previously installed pandas library for this purpose by adding the following two lines after the API calls. After running the script, you'll find a CSV file in your folder. If you open it up, you can see both ChatGPT responses stored in separate rows. You can expand this file in the same way with many different geolocations or other parameters. This way, you have a structured list of ChatGPT responses which could be separately analyzed for valuable insights. By now, you've learned how to use the Web Scraper API to scrape ChatGPT with the help of Python. And we also looked at how to store the data in a format that's easy to use for analysis. As you can see, Oxylabs Web Scraper API makes the process user-friendly and straightforward. If you have any questions regarding the API, email support@oxylabs.io or write to us via the live chat on our homepage. Also, consider joining our Discord community, where we discuss all things web scraping. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.